Hey everybody, it's Rebecca Johnson of Supergirl Radio, and I'm just getting the live stream started here. I noticed I had some weird lighting situations going on, so my green screen's not properly lit up. It looks like I'm gonna have to relight that later, but that's why I'm starting late, trying to fix some technical issues. But we are going to be talking about For the Girl Who Has Everything from season 1. So if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, snap judgments about that episode, please let us know in the live chat. Morgan, I see you down below. Are you ready to go? Oh, 1 second. Okay. All right. So you just let me know when you're ready to go. I sent out the doc a little late today, so that's probably part of the problem. Let's see. Yes. So let me get that doc to Morgan. It's funny, I'm creating these Supergirl Radio Rewind Google Docs. I'm having to go back into my season 1 Google Docs and see what those look like. So that's kind of fun to revisit those. So Morgan, you should have that in the private chat message thing. Let me know if you don't have it. I see Trent C in the live chat. How you doing, Trent? Thanks for joining us. Feel free to ask any questions or share your thoughts about the episode, and we will get to those when we can. All right, so Morgan, are you good? All right. It also looks like we got new Rachel with us, so thank you for joining us, new Rachel. Please share your thoughts and or snap judgments and or questions that you might have. Okay, so Morgan, are you ready to go? Should we get this party started? All right. We will officially get started, and we'll be back to talk about For the Girl Who Has Everything.
Leslalar's downfall is just that eyebrow twitch that she can't help doing. Could you imagine if Hope was like, let's add that to the PowerPoint? Excuse
What
me?
year is it?
How old am I? This is how the podcast breaks up.
This is the last episode of Supergirl Radio. You want a Kryptonian? You got one.
Is it a movie about saving Argo? The answer to that one is no. It's called Witch for a Summer! Exclamation point. Where does she want to go? Ask her. Talk to her. Really commune with flat Supergirl.
Did we set the bar too high or too low?
I think we set the bar real medium.
You're doing an intensely adequate podcast.
Good.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Noyce, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
McGurk! I love
Not
typing.
mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira.
I love that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
She looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW's or the CBS. CBS's Supergirl TV series, if we are talking about the season 1 episodes of Supergirl and the character of Kara Zor-el. My name is Rebecca Johnson. Oh, I've got Morgan, you are muted.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired on the Supergirl Radio Facebook page and the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel to go back in time. Since Morgan didn't review Supergirl episodes as a full-time co-host of Supergirl Radio until World's Finest, which aired in March of 2016, we are revisiting the first season to get Morgan's thoughts. This week, we'll be discussing episode 13 of season 1, titled For the Girl Who Has Everything. I keep getting tripped up introducing Supergirl Radio episodes because of the CBS connection. It's not the CW Supergirl TV series anymore.
What a time.
It at that time, if we were to time travel back to the time when these first aired, they were on CBS. So it's hard to get used to saying that. But before we get into discussing the episode, we need to get to
the news.
Supergirl ventures to the 31st century to find answers to her present-day dilemmas, only to encounter new problems and an old enemy in Legion of Superheroes. I was trying to do that a little bit more dramatically, but it didn't work.
What were you trying to do?
I was trying to do like a Legion of Superheroes. I'm like too tired to pull it off.
I think it worked. I think it was great.
I think I nailed it. An all-new feature-length DC Universe movie coming to 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray combo pack.
That's a lot.
Oh my God. Blu-ray plus digital and Blu-ray Canada only.
Okay. Canada doesn't get all that extra stuff.
No 4K Ultra for you, Canada. And digital starting February 7th, 2023 from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. Welcome to the 31st century and the Legion Academy, where a new generation hones their powers with hopes of joining the Legion of Superheroes. Devastated by tragedy, Supergirl struggles to adjust to her new life on Earth. Taking her cousin Superman's advice, Supergirl leaves their space-time to attend the Academy. There, she quickly makes new friends, as well as a new enemy with old ties, Brainiac 5. But a nefarious plot lurks in the shadows. The mysterious group known as the Dark Circle seeks a powerful weapon held in the Academy's vault. Find out if the budding heroes can rise to the challenge in this all-new DC Universe movie. And then we have some cast. Meg Donnelly, American Housewife, and Harry Shum Jr., Crazy Rich Asians, lead a star-studded cast as the voices of Supergirl, Kara, and Brainiac 5, respectively. Darren Criss, Glee, and the assassination of Gianni Versace, Matt Bomer, Doom Patrol, White Collar, and Jensen Ackles, Supernatural, and The Boys, reprise their roles in this ongoing Justice League continuity as Superman, The Flash, and Batman, respectively. So special features include The Legion Behind the Legion. It's a featurette. It says it took a heroic effort from a legion of writers, artists, animators, and filmmakers to bring Legion of Superheroes to life. In this featurette, filmmakers and stars give us a deep dive into the making of the movie, from the original story idea through character development and final animation. Meet the Legionnaires is also a featurette that says there are dozens and dozens of Legion members, many of whom are featured in Legion of Superheroes. Who made the cut and why?
I guess we're not going to see Matter Eater Lad or Arm Fall Off Boy.
No, but they're my favorites. How dare you? I'm now going to need this featurette to justify their choices. It goes on to say, lucky for us, the filmmakers are here to introduce us to each one and give us some background on who they are and why they're important to the movie. Again, I want them to justify their choices of who they left out. And then there's a featurette called Brainiac Attack, the intellect behind the supervillain. So it says in Legion of Superheroes, Brainiac 5 proves himself to be the pinnacle of all Brainiac iterations. But how did he become that way? In this featurette, filmmakers explain what we should know about the 4 Brainiacs who came before him and how and why Brainiac 5 chose his own path. And finally, the featurette Down to Earth, the story of Supergirl. Supergirl's narrow escape from Krypton and her arrival on Earth is just the beginning of our story. Literally. In this featurette, filmmakers explain why they chose to center Legion of Superheroes on Supergirl, what the backstory is between her and Superman at the start of the movie, and what exactly is going on between her and Brainiac 5. So for information on pricing, check out supergirlradio.com. The link will be in the video description on YouTube and in the audio podcast show notes.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about this.
I am hyped.
I remember there being something about Legion of Superheroes in animation, but I couldn't remember if it was a TV series or a film. So it looks like we're getting one in a couple of months. So that's really exciting. So Morgan, what are your thoughts?
I can't wait. I'm gonna start counting down. February coming up soon. No, it sounds good. I like that they centered it around Supergirl. I like there's a whole featurette about why did we center this around Supergirl? And I was like, what do you mean why? Why aren't they all centered around Supergirl?
Why not?
Is my question. There's too much other people in my DC. All Supergirl all the time. No, it sounds like it's going to be really good. I like the storyline. I like that it's a Legion movie and that Supergirl is getting kind of top billing in it. It's kind of her story. But there's the Legion aspect as well. So I'm excited. I think that it's going to be good. I want to know what super weapon they have hiding down there and why it's not guarded better.
Yeah, Supergirl actually has a long history with the Legion of Superheroes. So that's a good reason to put her as the center of the story. The only thing that seems to be a concern in the chat from New Rachel, and I was curious about your thoughts on this, Morgan. New Rachel says, I only hope that they're not going for a love triangle between Kara, Brainy, and Mon-El, because there are some promo images that seem to suggest that. Do you think they're going to go the love triangle route? Or would you want to see that?
So it's a hard no on wanting to see that for sure. Yeah, I did see, I think there was a little promo teaser trailer that was released, and I did notice Mon-El, and I was like, you again. But I'm excited. I've actually never seen Mon-El in animation, so I mostly joke because I would be interested to see what DC animated Mon-El is like. What's his deal? Does he do that little cape trick? He clearly doesn't have a beard, so strike one.
Yeah, he's always better with a beard. I'm excited to see what this iteration of Mon-El and even Brainiac 5, it sounds like they're going to let Brainy be really smart. So that's exciting.
What a twist.
So I'm excited to see how they portray all these characters. And hopefully they won't go the love triangle route. I wouldn't put it past them, but hopefully that is not in the cards for this film specifically. But we'll have to check this out when it comes out in February. And just wanted to put that on everybody's radar that this is coming out. We get some new fresh Supergirl content, so that is really, really exciting. All right. Well, I guess now that we have talked about new Supergirl, I guess we should talk about some old Supergirl. And we need to hop in the Legion Cruiser. Talked about the Legion of Superheroes. We need to get into the Legion Cruiser, and we need to go back to February 8th, 2016.
All right, I'm ready.
All right.
In.
All right. We're going to go back to the year of our Lord, 2016. Whew, it is always trouble getting through some of those time travel wormholes. But we have made it back to February 2016. So here's the description for the girl who has everything. Quote, Kara's friends must find a way to save her life when a parasitic alien attaches itself to her and traps her in a dream world where her family is alive and her home planet was never destroyed. Also, Alex, Hank, and the DEO must fend off a Kryptonian attack while Kara is out of commission, unquote. Wow, really, really interesting here that Betty from CBS is still maintaining that Hank Henshaw name in the
Yeah, Betty, I
descriptions.
think you can let it go. I think we all know now, right, Betty? I like that you were trying to maintain the secret initially. I respect that, the viewer experience. But now, Betty, we all know.
Yeah, I think we can call him John. I think it's okay.
Betty's very cautious. Not like Veronica. Veronica would just wholesale make up storylines.
or leave big bits out, or tease something that never appeared.
Dark Secrets, Valentine's Day specials. None of those things ended up in episodes.
Veronica just did not care. So that is the interesting part of the description for me. But I think we should maybe, since this episode is all about the dream world of Krypton, Morgan, I'm curious about your thoughts about getting to see Kara essentially going back to Krypton and getting to live this fantasy life where she's still with her family and she interacts with young Kal-El. What did you think about all that?
Yeah, I thought it was cool to get to see Krypton before, boom. And get to see her family, all of which have been recast. And in a lot of ways, this really was a different time for Kara.
Sure, yeah.
Her mom looked different. Her dad looked different. Wasn't, let's be honest, not keeping it as tight. No, I thought it was really interesting, and like obviously I think it's really heartbreaking, the idea that she got back this planet and this home in this world, but like more importantly, she got back her family. And then to realize, oh no, this isn't real. I thought it was like in the beginning when she was like, oh no, I have to get back. And then she slowly began to like lose her memories of where she needed to get back to, kind of forgot about Earth. And then when Alex comes in to like pull her out and she realizes, oh no, like none of this is real. It was really sad. Like when the Black Mercy leaves her and she like gets up and she's just like so like emotionally destroyed. I feel like that's the kind of stuff that like Melissa Benoist does really well, is like, her dialogue wasn't like, oh, I'm so sad, I'm out of this dream now, but Melissa's face like just showed you how sad she was and like how tough that was. And I think she says it when she's fighting Non, but like that she had to lose her family and her world again, like she had to lose them twice. I thought this was like such a strong episode just for that stuff alone, but like honestly everything in this episode was good, but that stuff especially, like really my heart went out to Kara. I was like, oh my god, that's terrible.
Yeah, the bit about her losing Krypton twice, that's tough, but that's what makes Supergirl such a great character. One of the things I like about this episode, particularly the dream world section of it, is that Alex perfectly and accurately describes why I think Supergirl is such a great character. She says, I can't promise you life without pain and loss, because pain is a part of life. It's what makes us who we are. It's what makes you a hero. So I've always really liked that part of that episode, because it just so encapsulates why I think Supergirl is such a great hero and such a great character. So it's neat to see that they understood that pretty early on in the show's run, and I think it's a pretty strong dive into Kara's character. But I'm curious what you thought about what this episode had to say about Alex.
Yeah, I thought this was also a good Alex episode. We really get to see her like work hard to save her sister. I love the moment when she takes James aside and she's like, he's gonna, if anything happens, he's gonna try to pull me out. So you have to make sure that he doesn't do that before I save Kara. Like I'm going in and I'm coming out with Kara, or I'm not coming out at all. And I was like, oh snap. Oh, this is the Alex Danvers that I sometimes missed in the later seasons. This is like the Alex Danvers who saves herself with her own pants, man. This is She's going in there with her leather jacket and she's gonna fix things. She's gonna save the day. I thought this was a great Alex episode. Obviously, there's also the I don't want to say twist because obviously it's been coming with Astra. But there is that sort of that twist at the end where Alex, to save Jean, has to kill Astra. And I thought that they actually built that up really well because we see Astra kind of maybe not doubting her mission, but sort of doubting what they were doing to achieve the mission. Because when it came to Supergirl, like that's her niece, and like sure they fought a couple times and she's like, I'll kill you, but she's like never gonna actually kill her, and now she's like, oh, she could actually die. Like I really I liked that she goes to Alex and she's like, I don't really care about you, but that is, that's my niece, and like here's what you got to do. Peace out. So it was a little bit, the irony is that Alex kind of knows that maybe they could get through to her, because John at the end of the episode was like, there was really no getting through to Astra. There was, but it still sucks for for Kara essentially. And Alex, more than most, knows that maybe there was some getting through to Astra, but she had to make a split-second decision in that moment of who to, if she was going to save John or, what to do. And she made that split-second decision. I think he describes it as like a righteous kill.
Yeah,
which
he does. That's what he
sounds
says.
Like the name of an amazing band.
I would go see
Right?
Righteous Kill.
It's me with Righteous Kill. But yeah, I think, in that moment she had a split-second decision. She had to take it. It was, maybe it was Astra or John. So sorry, Astra. But I did like that, that happened in the episode where you kind of start to think, oh, is Astra redeemable? Is Astra coming back around? Is, she clearly doesn't want anything to happen to Kara. And then it's like, womp womp.
Yeah, I really like the scene where Astra goes. I think it's a scene where Astra goes to the apartment and they have that conversation about, you're my niece's sister and I'm her aunt. What does that make us?
Oh yeah,
I think that's a really good moment in the episode. And Alex responds, nothing. That makes us
brutal.
nothing. So I thought their dynamic was really interesting because they were both concerned about saving Kara, and that was what bridged the gap. So talking about that, what did you think about the decision from Jean at the end to make sure that he took the fall and took the blame for killing Astra instead of Alex?
Yeah, I understood why he did it, because I think he just didn't want Kara to be upset with Alex or to be mad at Alex, especially because Alex has really went over and above in this episode and risked her own life, and the sisters are so close. But I feel like he kind of put her in a bad position, because like in that moment maybe Kara would have been more understanding than like weeks later where it's like, by the by, no good time to tell you I killed your aunt. Merry Christmas. Like, so now she's got to have this in like heart to heart, where if I feel like if it was in the heat of the moment, he could have, it could have just been like, oh, sorry, Alex was saving my life. And I feel like Kara would have been upset and maybe wouldn't have reacted great, but it would have been over. Like the Band-Aid would have been ripped off. And now poor Alex is got to have to weigh, like, is it possible to never tell her? Can I deal with that? If I am going to tell her, when's the right time? When's the right time to be like, how you don't have a lot of family left because of that whole planet that exploded, and then your aunt came back and she was kind of a drag. Well, I did kill her, and I feel bad about that. But family reunion's gonna be a little bit chiller, right? Like, there's just really no good time to tell somebody that piece of news. So now Alex is in kind of a position.
Yeah, she almost confesses to Kara at the
Mhm.
end, when she says, "Kara, look, I gotta tell you something." And then, she thinks about it for a second, and then she decides not to say anything, and then tells her about, Jean posing as her at Catco, which is something we will definitely discuss. But Alex almost does it. I think she even realized, like, at this I can't keep lying to her about this, but she sort of chickens out there and doesn't do it.
Yeah, she chickens out at the last minute, and honestly, like, the time to tell somebody a piece of news like that is probably as close to the incident as possible, or else I feel like then you just gotta have to be like, I guess I guess I'm taking this one to the grave." I think once it gets too far out, I one time and this was not murdering somebody's aunt, but I one time worked in a building where this woman knew my name and I didn't know her name, and I felt awkward about asking, and then it was 2 years later, and
That's happened to me.
I couldn't anymore, and she was like, "Hey, Morgan, how you doing?" I was like, "Hey, you looking good." Uh, listen, so at some point, you just gotta commit. You gotta commit. You gotta be like, I'm going down with this ship. I'm never gonna learn that lady's name, and that's fine with me. That's fine. That's how we live now. Uh, so I feel like Alex kind of missed a perfect opportunity because I feel like the further away it gets, the more it's like, oh, you've been lying to me versus like now I'm mad about two things, right? Now I'm mad that you've been lying for a really long time. And also still mad you killed my aunt.
So what you're telling me is you should have asked that lady, like, "Can you repeat your name? I
Yes.
forgot it
I
already. I'm
should have.
sorry." Yeah,
Or maybe like a week or 2 later, I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. What was your name again?" But 2 years in,
forget
there's
it.
there's no ask how do you no, there's no asking. You gotta if you ask that question, you then have to switch jobs and move. Change your name, change your identity.
What you have to do in that situation, though, I'm just giving you some pointers for the future, is listen out for other people calling that person by their name.
Oh.
Eventually, it'll happen, you'll be like, "Oh, that's the name.
So
Oh,
the
okay."
problem in this scenario was that this very nice lady worked on my floor, but not in my, like, department. Like, I didn't work with her at all. So she just worked on the floor, so we'd bump into each other, like, going to the
Oh,
bathroom
and she
or,
didn't have
like,
a name
getting
tag or
tea
anything?
or coffee. Nope. And so I'd just be like, "How you doing?" "Hope you're well."
Well,
It
that
was tough
happens
times,
sometimes.
and this is why I'm telling Alex, like, you gotta take care of it fast. You can't let those linger.
Well, whoever she is, we hope she's doing great.
She was great. Whoever she was.
I think we've all done that, so don't feel weird about it. So what did you think about Maxwell Lord and his part in how they rescued Kara from the Black Mercy in this episode?
Yeah, I like that they brought in, like, the fact that they've just been kind of detaining Maxwell Lord. Um, one could question, are they allowed to do that? And is his rights are being violated in like a very real way here, but okay.
Almost
uh
certainly.
Almost certainly, 100%. They basically just kidnapped him, and then put him in like a little Hannibal Lecter cell. um but I did like that the way that they sort of worked him into the story, and I did like during that scene where Alex is going in to save Kara, he just doesn't care in either direction. Like if anybody lives, if Alex dies, if Alex lives, if Supergirl good dies, if she lives. At the end, he's just like gnarly plant. I really enjoyed the actor who played Maxwell Lord. I thought he was really fun. Like he was just gonna choose some scenery. He was just gonna be kind of snarky in the background of scenes, even if he didn't have like a huge role in the episode. He was like just perfectly Maxwell Lord in this one, and I think it did make sense the way that they used his character in the episode, but I like that even while he's, like, helping out the heroes, he doesn't really care if they live or die.
He just wanted to experiment with some new VR technology and Get a Dr. Pepper and his Netflix account. That's all he really wanted.
That is true. That's true. Listen, those are some very important requests.
That's all any of us want, really.
Really,
Is
it's
a Dr. Pepper and our Netflix
and our
account.
Netflix account. Made him. I was like, oh no, is he hashtag relatable?
Yeah, so Maxwell Lord creates some new technology and helps Alex get into Supergirl's conscience, which seemed impossible at the start, but he made it work using some science mumbo jumbo that everyone just has to
Sure.
buy that
It made
existed.
perfect sense to me. I also like that we learned that they're basically making Myriad like off of the back of like technology from his company. So we
Right.
kind of find out why they went into his building and like busted up his lab a couple episodes ago, which I liked. I liked the way that they brought it back. I think season 1, even though in some ways it was a little bit more like episode of the week, it was really nicely serialized like that. Every episode didn't have to be like directly linked to the episode before it, but like it was like, oh yeah, remember a couple episodes ago and they all had a battle royale in the lobby. Well, that's what they were doing. It's like, oh,
It was like it was building towards something.
it was like it was building toward. It's like they knew where they were going with the season before halfway through.
Wow, it feels so genius.
It feels new. It feels
Yeah.
new and fresh to me. This feeling of going to a location that may be known.
Yeah, so it is nice to see that there is a story buildup that is happening throughout all of these episodes. So we've talked a little bit about the Black Mercy side of the episode, and I guess before we transition into the Catco aspects of it, is there anything else you wanted to discuss about the Black Mercy Krypton aspect of the episode?
I'm trying to think. I know that there was like some stuff that I picked up on in the in like Cars like Dream World. Were we to believe, so it seemed like they were like flashing forward in time. Like she comes in and then when by the time Alex comes in, she's got like a whole like CW-esque drama happening. It seemed like she was like a lawyer. Is that what I was picking up? That like Kara was like a lawyer because they were like, great job in court today. That boy
yeah.
you like thinks that you're dreamy.
Yeah, that's sort of what it sounded like. Yeah.
I was like, either she's in like mock trial or she's in actual trial. And then it spun me off in like a different direction where I was like, there's a spin-off show.
Oh, yeah.
Cara Danvers, attorney at law. And it's just her in Argo City, like busting some Argo City court cases and given a great opening and closing. And like, I was like, for a brief second, I was like, that sounds great.
Yeah. I mean, I would watch it.
I would
sure.
watch Supergirl, a lawyer show. I think that could be fun. She'd be like, I object. Yeah, I picked up on that little thing and I was like, is there like a part of Kara that's like, if I stayed in Krypton, I would have been a lawyer.
Well, she would have been following in her mother's footsteps because Allura was an adjudicator on Krypton, so I'm sure that that's the connection that they were making, I guess, like mother, like daughter. So there is that. One of the things that I thought was interesting in terms of the Allura connection in the dream world is that I'll need help with this from you, Morgan, or people in the live chat, just to help me better understand it. But in rewatching it, it seemed like when Kara woke up, she was wearing the white dress, and it sort of sounded like that was maybe like a hospital gown that Kellex was encouraging her to put on the blue dress. Did that seem?
I thought
like
to myself,
how you
if
interpreted?
that's a hospital gown in Krypton, their hospital fashion is amazing. I saw that dress and I said, where can I get one? So stylish, so sleek. And like, they're like, no, that dress, that's garbage that you wear to the hospital. I was like, wait a minute, I was really vibing on that dress.
And she wears it around for a long time.
She
She's
does. She's
walking
like,
around
you
in
know
a
what?
hospital gown.
I like this. Calex is like, it is garbage. Discard it and set it aflame. I did like seeing Calex again. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah, he was like a medical assistant of some sorts.
Poor
A doctor,
Calex didn't-
Dr. Kellex.
Didn't really know the future, what the future was going to hold for Calex. Murdered a couple times. Garbage monster.
I completely forgot about the garbage.
I only remember the garbage monster because we spent like 20 minutes parsing the trailer one time, and I like took the brave and bold position that the garbage monster was misunderstood, and then it turned out the garbage monster was misunderstood, like just a stupid joke I was making, and it was Calex. So I'll never forget that the garbage monster was Calex.
What was seasons?
I think it was a fever dream we all had together. It was like a shared, it was like a folie à deux, or like a shared hallucination.
They had a whole episode with Calex as the garbage monster just to address climate change.
He got so big though.
Why?
He got so chunky, so full of garbage.
That did have zor-el in it though, so it's a connection to Krypton.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
There we go. Because even here in the dream world, he's like, we wouldn't send you to Earth. Earth sucks. Cool it.
Oh, until you just mentioned that, I had completely forgotten about the garbage monster, and I probably would have forgotten it for all times.
No problem.
I'm glad that you brought that back up. Hilarious. So Kellex was in there. They had different clothing for the Kryptonians, which I thought was an interesting touch. Kara talks about how she made something for zor-el. So there were some things that they had in terms of Kryptonian culture that I thought were a nice touch. I guess, Morgan, let's get your thoughts on young Kal-El. What did you think about seeing Kal-El and Kara together?
Yeah, young Kal-El like kind of threw me off. I was like, oh, he's so tiny. I mean, it makes sense. He would have been like about that age if she was about that age. But yeah, it was really weird. We usually see, I think it's because we usually see Clark Kal-El in like maybe 2 stages. Tiny baby in a pod.
Mhm.
Like really handsome man. There's not usually a middle stage where he's like a little awkward, going through some stuff.
Well, only on Smallville, really.
Trying to figure out math. Yeah, but Tom Welling was like a full-grown adult-looking man.
Passing off as 15.
He was like, hello, it's me. I'm just 15. I was like, sir, you're 35. Please get out of this high school. We're calling the police. So it's like one of those things where it's like, yes, technically that's teenage Clark Kent, but like, come on, man. Like, I know, look at me. I know what a teenager looks like. I've been one. None of them look like Tom Welling. So it was kind of funny to see like a little tween Kal-El. That was kind of cute.
What did you think about their interact? Because they had a few scenes when they interacted together. Did you have any thoughts about their dynamic in the scenes?
I thought it was really cute because this is what she thought she was signing up for when she went to Earth, which is like, I'm gonna protect this tiny baby. And I think she thought that she was gonna be like a mentor figure for Kal-El, and instead she got to Earth and he was already grown up, and she's like, hey, do you want to hang out? And he's like, I got your number, we'll see each other later. Later never came. So, so I think it was kind of like her way of having that experience that she assumed she was going to have with Kal-El, where he was like younger and looking up to her. When Alex comes in and they're doing the trial for Alex, and she starts getting through to Kara, like Kal-El like grabs her hand, like trying to kind of hold her there. Yeah. And I thought that was interesting. Like, it was like this idea of like, this is what I thought my life was going to turn out to be. I figured I would be like this mentor to my younger cousin. and I figured I was gonna, walk around in this sick blue tunic and make a dragon from a dad and or assault people with the dragon that I made from a dad. She was a little fast on that. So yeah, no, I thought that was really interesting. It was really interesting to see their dynamic as it might have been if her pod hadn't gotten knocked off course.
Yeah, there's a moment when Alex comes in and tries to first convince the Kara that's in the dream world, like, hey, this is not real. When she first comes in, Kara assumes like a protective position where she stands in front of young Kal-El a little bit. And I thought that was a nice touch because her mission when she was sent off from Krypton was that she was going to protect Kal-El, baby Kal-El. So it was nice to actually get to see her be able to do that. If, even just for a little bit, she was able to fulfill that mission. So I thought that all the stuff with young Kal-El and the dream world, I thought was really, really good. And I guess before we get out of here, what did you think about how Kara leaves the dream world? Well, I guess Kara and Alex. What did you think about that? Was it Alex convincing Kara? Was Kara remembering? How do you think that combination of things, or if it was a combination of things, how do you think that they got out of there?
Yeah, I think it was that Alex sort of convinced Kara to like allow her memories to come back in. I think the longer that Kara was under, the more like comforting it was to just kind of get like pulled along into the dream world. I think Alex put a big crack in that and like allowed those memories to come flooding in. I did think it was like when she was going towards she was saying goodbye to her mother and she hugs her mom, and then her mother becomes like the Black Mercy and it's like, I'm never letting you go. But then like the next scene, they're just like on the floor and then suddenly they're in the lab. I felt like there was maybe a different way that they could have played that. It's like maybe my only critique is like I was like, oh, they were like about to reach each other and then now we're back. I thought that maybe the Black Mercy should have like fought a little bit harder in some way, or maybe fought less. In fact, like once she like broke out of it, she broke out of it.
Yeah. I like the transition from the hands almost touching because it makes you wonder, oh, well, did they get out?
Did they do it?
Did it work? So I like that transition, and it's a really nice visual because it focuses on their hands and their connection to each other, and that was I think the strong part of Alex getting her out of there is trying to remind her who she is. Yeah, the Black Mercy, I think, actually did a pretty good job trying to keep her there between the fake Allura and the fake Zor-El and the fake Kal-El and the Kelex and all these things that should have theoretically kept her there. The boy that she thought was cute or whatever, and the nice new lawyer job. I think all of those things did I mean, for a little while, she was pretty convinced that she was there. She lost all of her memories of Earth and just was sold out to the new Krypton experience that she was having. So I think the Black Mercy did as much as it could, but I like the idea that Alex, trumped all of that, all of those memories she had on Earth. Once she finally remembered them, overcame the Black Mercy. I thought that was good. The only question I have about the Black Mercy is what did they do with it after it crawled off of Kara? What do you think? What do you think they did with it?
It did look like it just kind of died though. Like it crawled off Kara, and then they just watched as it crawled away. Like nobody made any effort to do anything, and then it was just like, all right, well, time for me to go, and then it just kind of looked like it like dried up and sort of died. I don't know though. Did they just like put it in like a satchel?
Yeah, New Rachel thinks it was dead. I don't know. I just assumed it crawled off of her and it just like took a break. It just sat down and said, "I'm just gonna take a breather." And I wondered, like, should they kill it? Should they imprison it somehow? I'm curious as to what the DEO did, because I'm sure they would have to dispose of that thing somehow. I would hate to be that DEO agent who had to be in charge of the destruction of the Black Mercy.
I know. That would be a terrible job.
Yeah, so I wondered what they were doing with the Black Mercy after it had failed to secure Supergirl in that state. Okay, so I guess since we talked a little bit about the Krypton dream world, let's talk about the Earth world and some of the things that were happening while Kara was in the Black Mercy. So this is an episode after the Kara Adam romance, and so Kat is still sort of fresh off of that situation. So Morgan, what did you think about how Kat was dealing with the absence of Kira, and how Jean rectifies that as shape-shifting as Kara?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it's like a good example of why you should never date the CEO of your company's like son or daughter or anybody related to them, really, in the family, a friend, associate, somebody they've stared at. Because it seemed like Kat wasn't happy with Kara. But honestly, I was like, okay, it's a little unfair that she's mad at Kara because of the Adam situation, because that's like not related to work. But then the reason she's mad is because Kara is never in work,
Huh.
which feels like a legitimate reason to be
It does.
mad
Yeah.
at somebody who's supposed to work for you. So I was like, I don't know whose side I'm supposed to be on. Am I kind of on Kat's side on this one? Also, though, I don't understand the way that Kat is acting. You would think that Kara was like, I'm sorry, Adam, I cannot marry you.
Yeah.
But instead, they went on one date, like one single date. This is the most repercussions anyone has ever had for like a dinner. She was probably like, I regret so much going out to dinner that one night because I am hearing so much about it now. Like Adam like acted like she called off the engagement. And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed. And she's like, I just met you. I just literally just met you. You're gonna bounce back from this, kiddo. But yeah, no, I thought it was funny that like now that Kat is a little bit mad at Kara, it's more that she's like noticing the things that Kara just kind of gets away with usually, because she says to Win like, oh, you cover for her a lot. Are you sure you want to do that? And I thought that was funny because it's like, oh, I think, we joked that like, oh, Kara's never in the office, but like Kat notices.
Yeah.
Kat notices.
Yeah, I think later seasons, like I'm thinking of season 4 and probably 5 and 6, I don't think Kara would have gotten away with the things that she did in those seasons if she had Kat still around. I don't think Kat would have put up with that stuff.
I think Kat would have literally had to have known the secret at that point, because otherwise she would have been like, get out of here.
Yeah, Kat was pretty hard on Kira, once again threatening to fire her. So everybody has to figure out how to cover things up, because at first they don't know where Kara is, and then once they know about the Black Mercy, they have to figure out how to keep Kara's job. And I guess, Morgan, what did you think about the justification for that? Because I guess Kara could get another job if she really wanted to, but Alex makes the case to Jean that this is Kara's normal life. This is the way that she gets to be just a, for lack of better words, a human person, not a superhero. So what did you think about that? Is that true? Did Kara need Catco?
I mean, later in the show, no. But I think in this season she really did need Catco. I think it was sort of a grounding influence. She was new to the superheroing thing, and like in a lot of ways the Catco stuff still felt a lot like her normal life. And I think taking that away from her would have really felt like destabilizing to her. Like that's where her friends work. That's where, she gets to see people that she's not rescuing. Do I think it would have been easier if Kat maybe just knew the secret? Maybe just knew the secret? Yeah, I do think that. I think that would have made life a lot easier. This is a lesson she did not learn in the future either. Would it have been easier a lot of times if Lena just knew the secret? Sure it would have. But she was like hard nah on that one too. So I do understand where they set John in there to pretend to be Kara. I do like that does he correct her when she calls her Kira?
I can't remember. I want to say at one point it sounded like Kat called her Carla in the captions
Oh
that I
yes,
watched
it
in
was like
Netflix.
Carla.
Said Carla, so I don't know if she was taking an extra dig at her or not.
I think she
that.
was extra mad, so she wasn't even going with her normal mispronunciation. She's going with like an extra mispronunciation.
Yeah, one that didn't even really. I mean, I guess it sort of sounds like Kara. It's
in the
maybe
same
closer than
area.
Kira.
It might be actually.
Kara. I mean, it's closer. But yeah, Jean had to really struggle. I was surprised though that he couldn't remember. So like, Kat gives him some instructions to
Oh
who to
yeah.
call and who to interview. I thought it was strange that he couldn't keep up with that. That he couldn't remember names and follow instructions. But maybe he hasn't had to do that in a long time because he's normally the one giving out the orders.
He's usually given the orders. He doesn't have to remember what he says a minute ago. Yeah, you could see him really struggling. Like, wait, that was who from where? I also like that she didn't give any last names. That's something that I feel like I've experienced in like a work setting before, where they're like, "Oh, call Carly and blah blah blah." I'm like, does I've never met this person. Do they have a last name that I can look up? Or, oh, you're gone. You're gone already. Uh, so I really felt for Jean in that moment because he was like, "Who at the what now?" Like all information that Kara would have known because these are like people probably that she talks to or sets up meetings with Kat for Kat, and but John doesn't have any of this knowledge, and so instead, Kara just looks like she's like had a day where she left her brain behind. I also like when she was like, "Well, it seems like we're all just getting like a little hot under the collar today. So what if I just took like I think I should probably just like go for the rest of the day." And Kat goes, "You showed up 3 hours late, but sure, of course, take the rest of the day off early." That almost set me. I was like, "No, that's like that's typical Kara's workday though. It's about
Yeah.
1 hour in the afternoon. She's mostly just having coffee with Win."
Yeah, Jean really did struggle to be the assistant, but I would like to think that Kara, in her normal day to day, Kara probably does know those people that Kat asks her to call. She probably knows exactly who to call, when to call them, how to address it. So I think Kara's probably a good assistant when she is in the workplace. So I
When
think
she
Kat's
shows up, I think
yeah,
she's amazing.
she's knocking it out of the park.
Uh,
I did wonder though why Kat was doing the interviews. She's
yeah,
the CEO. Why
wondered
didn't
that
she have a
too.
reporter doing that?
That feels like something that you want to delegate, Kat. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's micromanaging or
that's
something.
too much.
Yeah.
Daryl asks a good question. If John wanted to know who these people were, why didn't he just read Kat's mind to know who she was talking about?
I actually thought about that while I was watching the episode.
He forgot about these old powers, the old noggin powers of his, because I feel like the show is setting up something early, that it's going to pay off way down the line, which is forgetting about John's psychic powers. Get used to this feeling. It's going to continue.
Well, early on, they set up two things where one was he can't shapeshift too much or he'll just stay
He'll
in
stay
one of
that
those.
way.
Yeah, and so he's been shapeshifting a lot recently.
What if he got stuck in like as Kara? Then he's at the but then it's like he's at the DEO, but it's David Harewood's voice, and he's like, "Listen, I understand, but I'm stuck this way."
And then the other one is that he feels like a bad person or a monster if he does something and intrudes someone else's mind. So it's like
he shook that off fast.
Yeah, I mean, he could have done. I mean, he was willing to shapeshift his car. I don't know why he couldn't just read Kat's mind.
Yeah, I don't understand that one either. I didn't think of it, but it's a great question.
It is a great question. Do you want to talk about CM Gutier 74's question? Saying Kat said something like, "I see who you are now." What do you think she meant about being Supergirl, about being a heartbreaker? What do you think, Morgan?
Ooh, I don't know. I think we're supposed to think she means about like breaking Adam's heart or being, kind of a bad employee, or kind of talking back. But I'm all in on this theory that Kat's known the whole time
Yeah.
now. So now I think it's like now I think that that's what she was saying to Kara. She's like, I know that you're Supergirl.
Yeah, I liked
We don't
the
have to play
idea of
these
that.
games.
I like that idea that maybe she knows that still understands that Kara is Supergirl, but she's being hard on her because Kat always tried to teach her lessons and tried to inspire her and mentor her to some degree. So I would like to think she was just being hard on Kara because she was like, you can't just not come into work. Like you have to show up at some point.
Please, I can't explain all of these absences. People are talking.
Yeah, I think those kinds of lines of dialogue are very pointed. And I would like to think they are there for a reason. It could be in reference to knowing that this Kira who was in the office was an imposter. I don't know.
Mm.
But it's definitely something interesting and coming from Kat.
And then I saw another comment in the chat from Aaron who says, I think I remembered there being Black Mercy in Lex's vault in season 2. I don't know. Was Lex in season 2?
I think they
Maybe this is
showed
season 3?
his vault because that was the season that Lily and Luther showed up. And I think
Oh.
they did show the Lexo suit maybe in season 2. So I think they probably did. I think they teased the Lexo suit. I remember at some point, I think Aaron's right. I think there was like a little scene where they opened Lex's vault and it had like the Lexo suit in there, and there were probably some other stuff. So yeah, Black Mercy makes sense. So I don't know how Lex would have gotten hold of it. I'm sure he has his ways.
He does have his ways.
So that would make sense that he would get in charge of it because he probably knows what it does to Kryptonians. Well, Morgan, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about with this episode?
I just really liked this one. Honestly, I thought this one was really, and I feel like I've been saying this about every episode in season 1. But this was a really good episode. It had all of the really personal Kara stuff that kind of goes back to her backstory and like what makes her a hero. It has Alex being like peak Alex and throwing herself into danger to save her sister. It has some great Astra stuff with Laura Benanti and like really good like emotional scenes with her and Kara when Astra's dying. And it does honestly, it was the most that I was like, oh, Non could be a villain. Because he's kind of been like a non-entity for me so far.
Pun fully intended.
That is my non-pun. But this one was like, oh, if Astra thinks Non's like one to watch, then I believe Astra. Yeah, and I think the cat stuff was pretty fun with anytime that Melissa Benoist has to pretend that she's Jean as Melissa Benoist is always really fun. And I just thought that this one worked really well on all fronts and really set up the sister relationship as being so important to the show and so fundamental, but also introduced like a little grain of sand into the works, right? Because like now there's this secret, there's this lie that Kara believes that Alex knows isn't true, and like, can she live with that? Will it come out? When will it come out? What's going to happen? So it does kind of like put a little bit of drama into that relationship, which is also kind of fun to like, oh gosh, what's going to happen with the two sisters? So I think this one was a really strong episode. I can't remember, was this like a mid-season finale?
I don't think so. Let me see. This is the 13th episode of the season. I think was Human for a Day. Was that the mid-season finale? I'm trying to remember the first season run in terms of the
I can't
dates. Let's see. They went off from the break on Hostile Takeover. So that was like the what did they used to call that? I can't remember because I don't watch much broadcast television anymore. Was it like the winter finale? Is that what they used to call
I think they
them?
used to call it like the mid-season finale,
Okay,
right? Because
yeah.
it was like the middle of the season essentially. But this had like big mid-season finale energy. But I guess it wasn't. It was just
Yeah.
really good. That's where I would have left people.
Yeah, they went off on the break on Hostile Takeover on December 14th of 2015, and then came back January 4th, 2016 with Blood Bonds. So that's the order of the airing order that happened in season 1. Yeah, I really loved this episode. I've always loved this episode. It's one of my favorites. It might be my favorite episode of
It's so
Supergirl, the
good.
series. I sort of waffle between this one and Midvale, but it's probably this one. The only critique I have of it is that the dialogue between Supergirl and Non when they're fighting is a little hokey. I thought some of the
It is.
dialogue was not great. There were some instances where I'm like, you don't have to say anything. You can just punch him. It's fine.
You can just fight. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I understand what she's saying. But there's a really good act out in this episode where Alex hops on the VR and she goes to the dream world of Krypton and she says, "Oh my God, I'm on Krypton." And it sort of like pulls out to reveal everything in her environment. And then it cuts to black. And that's such a great moment. It's such a great Alex moment. And then also there's a great moment where Jean is trying to explain to Alex why he lied for her, and he says that that Alex is Supergirl's hero, and I've always liked that. So,
Oh, I really like that line too.
yeah, so there's some really good moments, especially for the Danvers sisters. But it's both a great Kara episode and a great Alex episode, which I think is a good balance that they were able to pull off with this one.
Yeah, I see a comment from Hagelblass in the chat that says the initial order from CBS was 13 episodes. So if the show had been canceled early, this would have been the series finale.
It would have left you on a cliffhanger, but
It
it still
would've.
would have been a really good finale.
It would have been a great episode to be like, that's all, folks. I would have been so mad that it was canceled on that, though.
Yeah, it would have had a good emotional beat to it. So I think there is that. So that's good to know. I was kind of trying. It's hard for me to go back in time, even though that's kind of what we've been doing, and try to remember what it was like as a member of the viewing audience back then. It was so long ago. So that's been fun to try to revisit that. Okay, well, if nobody else has any more thoughts about the episode, I suppose we should hop back in the Legion Cruiser. Or I guess, are we already still in the Legion Cruiser? Have we just been podcasting from the Legion Cruiser? Do you think it has like a podcast studio inside the cruiser?
I mean, I don't think that they're constrained by like budgets. So sure, there could be a podcast studio in there. Let's say yes. Let's say yes to podcast studios.
Well, we are going to get in the pilot seats then. We're going to leave the podcast studio, get into the pilot chairs for the Legion Cruiser, and we're going to go back to 2022. I like the idea of the Legion of Superheroes having a podcast.
That'd be amazing. I would love it because I really want to hear from like the lesser known Legionnaires. I don't want like, the heavies, the MVPs. I want like arm fall off boy or whatever.
What's his origin story? What's a
day in the life
yeah.
of like Matter Eater lad? That's what I want to know. So we did get some listener feedback. We have an email from Daryl who wrote in with some thoughts about For the Girl Who Has Everything, writing, "It's called a phone cat. You can call Adam or visit him. I know Alex is a badass, but she would definitely have a key to Kara's apartment." Oh, yeah, that scene was really funny where it was like, "Hey, do you know how to get in?" She's like, "Yeah, sure. My legs, because I'm kicking it." I was like, I literally went, when the door like burst in, I literally went, "Oh, but her furniture." Kara's like, "You're gonna have to fix that now, Alex." What if every time they got like mad at each other, like that was just Alex's go-to? She just always kicked in Kara's door. She's like, I've had to replace so many doors, you don't understand. Daryl says, in a deleted scene, we learned she lived there first.
So Alex lived there first.
Oh, so Alex really did know how to kick down that door. She's like, I used to forget my keys all the time. Don't worry.
I enjoy that it's probably Kara who would be more likely to mess up the door because of her, her strength and not knowing how strong she really was. Like I like the idea that it should have been Kara who maybe messed up the door, but having it be Alex that messes up the door, I like that
It's
better.
just always Alex. I don't know why John is so upset. In a few months, the DEO base will be like Wynn and James's second home. This is very true. What's it like seeing the original Zor-El actor? I mean, he's fine. He's fine. He's no Jason Bear, but we can't have everything. It's a shame to lose Laura Benanti. We all love Erica Durance's Allura, but she couldn't do Astra and Allura like Laura could. Laura Benanti was such a gem.
Yeah, she did so much in terms of playing two different parts, sometimes in the same scenes. Obviously, they had to shoot those separately because she could not duplicate herself, but they were able to put her in scenes together with herself, which I always thought was really well done. It's one of the instances where I'm like, that doesn't look like. It actually looks pretty good. It looks like there are two Laura Benantis in those scenes, and I think she handled the emotion for both Allura and Astra really well, and she made them very distinct. And she made Astra a sympathetic character, even though Astra did a lot of bad stuff at the end. When Astra dies, it is heartbreaking, just because what happens for Kara, that is her last to her at that time, her last remaining biological relative who would be alive.
Yeah, she would later find out many more just floating out there.
Both her parents are alive. Her best friend Thara with the gazebo's alive.
Gazebo. There's just tons of Kryptonians out there just ready and waiting.
So at this point, though, it was heartbreaking because the audience believes that it is the last of her family, aside from Superman. Although we don't know who he is at this point.
We just see some boots. That's all we know about him.
So yeah, I think it's good to mention Laura Benanti and her performance because I think she was one of the standouts of season 1 for sure. All right. Well, I guess maybe now that we've gotten finished with our feedback, I think we should get into some Snap Judgments. In the game of Snap Judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary.
Okay. Our first Snap Judgment is, what was the best part about the Black Mercy version of Krypton? Young Kal-El or Kal-X?
I think this was our first instance of seeing Kal-X. So I'd probably say Kal-X, although I like the sweet moments between Kara and young Kal-El, but I think I'm going to go Kal-X on this one.
As much as I liked seeing young Kal-El, Kal-X is like my boy. Like I was so excited to see Kal-X. A lot of stuff happens to Kal-X. It's not an easy road for Kal-X in the future. So I just like to see Kal-X vibe in like where he belongs.
this is him at his best.
This is him just living the life he was meant to live, not being turned into a garbage monster. So I gotta go Kal-X. Man, the road ahead is rough. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, buddy. Okay. Better Alex Danvers moment. Risking imprisonment in the Phantom Zone or kicking a car's apartment door because she doesn't have a key.
Kicking down the door is pretty cool, but I think it's pretty heroic that she was she went so far as they were going to arrest her. They called her an alien spy, and she would have gone into the Phantom Zone, which is wild to think about. Although now that we know about the Phantom Zone in 2022, maybe it wouldn't have been so bad.
She gets there and they're like, we're building this warehouse. You're going to need to put on a hard hat and really get to work, lady. Jor-El's there with like a clipboard, and he's like, project managing these goblins is not easy. They always want to suck out my soul. The Dementors are not great workers. She might have gotten there for like the beginning of the build.
Yeah, maybe she would have been in on the groundbreaking.
Kara gets there in season 6, and she's got like a mansion. She's just being waited on by Dementors.
There's like a plaque or a picture in the break room in the Phantom Zone where it's like employee of the month, and like Alex is
and she's like, you know what? To be honest, I never know who the employee of the month is. All of the Dementors just kind of look the same to me. Great job, Sam. Alex just becomes like queen of the Phantom Zone. The path not taken.
Yeah, I think Alex being in the Phantom Zone would have been pretty cool. So I'm gonna go that.
That's what I'm gonna do too. It does seem like in some ways a worse fate. Although again, maybe she would have really just dominated the Phantom Zone.
She would have been able to be a director there.
Oh my God, she finally would have gotten to be a director.
By herself.
What if Kara gets to the Phantom Zone and she's like, I'm the assistant director of the Phantom Zone.
Assistant to the director.
And then one of the Dementors is like, and just coughs, and she goes, assistant to the director of the Phantom Zone. She can't even be the director of the Phantom Zone. Oh, poor Alex.
Yeah, that would have been a good outcome for her.
Worst Catco mistake by Jean shapeshifting as Kara. Asking for a day off after being 3 hours late, or crying crocodile tears.
I think the worst mistake was that he went to the tears. He could not make that believable. It's one thing to be able to shapeshift, but you have to act the part. You have to really sell it. And I don't think he sold it. And Kat saw it right through it.
Yeah, I also feel like Kat is not a person who is swayed by tears or human emotion. And so so while it is gutsy to show up late and then it has to leave early, having essentially worked for 1 single hour, I think that the crocodile tears were worse, because I think even if those were legitimate, real tears, that wouldn't have gotten her where she wanted to go anyway.
The best part, though, is that I don't guess Jean knew about Adam, because Kat said something about,
and she goes like, yeah. He goes, yes, and Adam.
Also him.
I do love it when Melissa gets to play pretending to be John, like pretending to be her. It's always really funny.
He did not he was not accurately prepared for that.
No. All right. Our last snap judgment, I guess we actually have a couple in the chat, but better portrayal of Zor-El, Robert Gant or Jason Behr?
I feel like if I don't say Jason Behr, it would.
Oh no! I mean,
I liked Robert Gant. I thought he did a good job, but Jason Behr really brought him to life, I think.
Yeah, I think Jason Behr really brought the gravitas to the role. He really like imbued Zor-El with like a lot of anger and environmentalism, a lot of sadness in the Phantom Zone. He was like, oh, it's terrible here. But also looking so good for a man who's been stuck in the Phantom Zone. What you doing? What's your fitness regime there? He's like, listen, every day I run miles being chased by Dementors. And it's like, well, it's working for you.
That's how you keep it tight on the Phantom Zone.
Listen, I'm never going to vote against Jason Behr. He was my childhood crush in Roswell, and he looks exactly the same. So he hasn't aged like a vampire. So good for you, Jason Behr. I've aged probably more than he has in the same amount of time. So we have a couple of snap judgments in the chat. So Rachel asks, better band name, Righteous Kill or Time Suicide, which is a Legends of Tomorrow podcast throwback.
What's Time Suicide? Do you remember?
So, I do. It was like season 1 or season 2, they said something about like, "Oh, that would be Time Suicide," and we said that that would be an amazing band name,
Mm.
and went with like a whole thing where, which, instruments would everybody play, and we went really far down Time Suicide rabbit hole.
What genre of music is Time
I feel
Suicide?
like Time Suicide is probably like a rock band. I
You
think that
think
they're
it's like
rocking out.
alternative rock? Do you
I
think
think
it's
maybe
like
like
a grunge,
maybe alternative rock. They're probably something that's on like Alt Nation, I think.
like
Yeah.
coming out of Seattle,
Oh
like a
yeah,
grunge
yeah, like
band?
definitely some flannel going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Uh,
that's kind of the vibe. Right.
I think Righteous Kill maybe is like heavy metal.
I was gonna say Righteous Kill is like a tougher band, I think. I think there's maybe more screaming involved
Lots
there.
of
There's like
like pyrotechnics.
I think that they destroy a guitar a night
Okay.
when they tour. That's my vibe of Righteous Kill.
I like Righteous Kill. I think I'm gonna go
Nice.
with Righteous Kill.
I gotta go Time Suicide just because it's a great throwback. And also I listen to Alt Nation, so I feel like I'd be listening to Time like, oh, sick. Have you heard the new Time Suicide? It is so good.
It's a
Honestly,
little
some of the band
moody.
names that I say that I'm like, it's not much different than that. It's like, what is your band name? Okay, and CM Gutierrez asks, would you rather bite the dust by a black mercy or a kryptonite sword?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is a good one.
I think Black Mercy because at least you're not in pain, or at least that you know of. They do say that the Black Mercy is like, like squeezing Supergirl essentially. So that's probably not great, but she doesn't know it. She
No.
thinks she's in like Wynn calls it heaven. So she's in the best outcome of her life that she can imagine. So I think that would be more pleasant than being stabbed in the back with a kryptonite sword.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go Black Mercy on this one. In the Black Mercy universe, I could be like a successful lawyer and somebody could have a crush on me. Meanwhile, I don't think any of those things are happening if you just get run through with a kryptonite sword. It's just like it's lights out. I'm gonna live like a fun sitcom life before I go. I think with the Black Mercy, I'm gonna like get to hang out with some people and wear some cool clothes, wear a disgusting hospital gown that looks like couture. That sounds fine by me. So
That
yeah, I'd go with the Black Mercy for sure.
that is probably a better outcome there. I also wanted to address something in the chat. No name says you missed my feedback email, and I'm sorry about that. That's on me. No name. We'll get to your email next time around. I'll make sure that we get that and we address it. But it looks like you have some snap judgments for us, though. So we'll go
Ooh.
ahead and do the snap judgments this episode, and then we'll get to your email next time because that is something I just I did I bundled that blundered bungled. That's the word I'm looking for. I bungled that. So
It happens.
that's on me. So the snap judgments from No Name. The first one is, which guild of the ones referenced so far on the show would you want to join? Military, law, or science? So these are the
Ooh.
guilds on Krypton: military, law, or science. Which one are you joining, Morgan?
I think I'm gonna do science. As much as it'd be fun to have my own kind of like Ally McBeal spinoff, where I'm a high-powered lawyer. I think I want to be a scientist. I want to like wear proper footwear in the lab and maybe dress like Lena Luthor
Mm.
and just do experiments. Let's find out. My cats are already named Beaker and Bunsen, so I'm halfway there.
You could
They
create your own
they could be in the guild with
artificial.
me.
You could create your own AI robot.
Yes, I could create my own AI robot who could help me. Maybe I could name it something like Hope. Uh, I think all signs point to science for me.
I am not good at science. I like science. I'm not good at it. I don't think I have a physical prowess for being in the military. So I think I'm gonna have to go law. That's the only one that I could get into that I would probably fit into. But I think I could learn the Kryptonian legal system. Although you have much more, there's much more at stake if you're in the legal realm on Krypton. Allura seemed like a lot of people were coming after her about some stuff. So I don't think I want that heat, but that is the only guild that I could probably fit in. So I'm gonna go law. The second one from no name is season 1 Krypton clothes or season 3 Krypton clothes. Ooh.
Oh God.
And I guess also this is tied to it. Which looked more appropriately alien? Which would you rather wear? And which did you like better? So let's take the first one first. So there's really like 4 snap judgments here. So the first one is season 1 Krypton clothes or season 3 Krypton clothes. What will you say to that?
This is tough because the season 3 ones looked so comfortable, so breezy, so breezy. But the season 1 ones are like very stylish. Actually, they're like high fashion. So I think I want like their hospital gown looks nicer than like most of the clothing I own. And they were like, throw it on the pile, burn it. So I think I'm gonna go season 1.
I think I'm going to say season 3. I like the comfort factor, but I also like that they had like capes. It was like a cape wrap. I really liked that. I thought that looked pretty cool. That Kara had when she went to Argo. So I'm going to say season 3 clothes. The second one is which of those looked more appropriately alien, season 1 or season 3?
I don't know, because like season 1, they just all look like they're like really dressed up, and then season 3, they all look like they live in like a commune in Massachusetts. So I guess I'm gonna go like cult vibes, season 3.
Well, the fact that Kara was wearing her dressy hospital gown, that seemed pretty alien to me because we don't do that. So I'm gonna say season 1 clothes for that one. All right. So out of season 1 Krypton or season 3 Krypton clothes, which would you rather wear?
So this is tough because for the comfort, it's definitely season 3. But for the fashion, it's probably season 1. Yeah, I really like the season 1 stuff. It's like very it feels a little bit more conceptual. So yeah, I feel like season 3, like you put like another layer and that's just like me in a slanket, like trying to work on my laptop anyway. It's not too different.
See, I like this blanket look and the comfort factor there. So I'm going to say season 3 for me, for sure.
Nice.
And they also were able to like coordinate their colors with their superhero outfits, and so I liked that. You didn't have to have all the same color. You could mix and match, and
they worked it in.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of freedom in the season 3 look because it doesn't seem like that they are beholden to anything. They could have a lot of freedom in what they chose to wear. Okay, and also season 1 Krypton or season 3 Krypton clothes. Which did you like better? That may be a similar question.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the season 3 ones seemed more fun. Like there was like a lot of layers. They all seemed so soft and swishy. I'm gonna go season 3 on this one, even though I've been doing season 1 for the rest of them. I did kind of like I liked the vibes. It was like aspirational. It was like a coastal grandma. I loved it.
I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna say the opposite of what I've been saying. I've been going with season 3 Krypton clothes, but I think season 1 I liked better because it looked Kryptonian. They had I believe they had some of the Kryptonese on there. I want to say I haven't looked at it in a while, but I want to say that white dress was something similar from the Sterling Gates run. So I think they may have pulled some of that from the comics. So that swayed me a little bit. So I think I'm going to say season 1 Krypton clothes there. All right. So the final one from No Name. Who would you rather hang out with, Astra or Allura? So which Laura Benanti are you going with?
I feel like we answered one very similar to this before.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I feel like I'm
Has
going
your
with
answer changed?
the same answer. I think Astra is going to be fun. I think we're going to have a fun night out. I think Allura is going to be like, "Oh, that's against the rules." And Astra is going to be like, "Come on, let's do it." Astra is going to like get you into some club or some bar or something that you're not allowed into. It's going to be a good time. Will you potentially get arrested? Yes. Will you hear a lot about the dying Earth? Also, yes. Also, yes. But if you get around that, she's a good time. I guarantee it.
Well, if I'm gonna get into the law guild on Krypton, I gotta hang out with
You
Allura.
gotta hang out with Allura.
I've gotta know her legal
You gotta
expertise to help me.
network.
Yes. So I'm gonna say Allura on that one. So thank you all for your snap judgments, and we'll snap our way out of here. No judgments on your snap judgments. All right, well, at this time, I think we need to get to some Supergirl Radio and some DC TV podcast plugs. If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW's Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Hello, and thank you for calling the DC TV Podcast Hotline. Please listen carefully as some of our menu options have changed. Supergirl Radio? Press 1. The Flash Podcast? Press 2. Legends of Tomorrow Podcast? Press 3. The Lithuanian Room? Press 4. DC on HBO Max Podcast? Press 5. Stargirl Podcast? Press 6. Superman and Lois Radio? Press 7. Green Lantern Podcast? Press 8. The Sandman Podcast? Press 9. Justice League Dark Podcast? Press 10. DC After Dark? Press 11. For all other inquiries, please stay on the line and the next available agent will be with you shortly.
I just want to acknowledge that the video that plays with the plugs on the live stream has a royalty-free video clip of someone dialing 911 on the plugs. So just know that I know that. I do know that. That's all that was available.
Over and over.
So when you are calling DCTV podcasts, you might as well be calling 911. I just wanted to acknowledge.
Just calling for help as you listen to these podcasts. That's the vibe we're going for. We're here.
We will come to your aid if you call 911.
We're like Supergirl that way.
We are, exactly.
That's amazing. I didn't even the best part is I didn't notice that.
Should I have not pointed? Maybe I shouldn't have pointed it out.
No,
I just felt like it was hanging in the air. And I just wanted to let
Brian
people know.
in the chat says I noticed the 911.
Yeah, see, it was hanging there. Yeah. All right, should we talk about the TeePublic store?
We should. Oh, I was so excited about the 911. But since we talked about For the Girl Who Has Everything this week, we have some Krypton designs in the DC TV podcast TeePublic store we'd love to suggest.
Yeah, so if you want to support Krypton and all things Kryptonian, we have some designs in the DC TV podcast TeePublic store that you can actually get for sale this week. There are lots of sales for Thanksgiving and Black Friday and Cyber Monday, so definitely check out the TeePublic store this week. That is a good time to do it if you need new merch. Well, we would like to thank our legion of super sponsors for supporting the Supergirl Radio Patreon. These people are Michael, Sam, Anne Marie, Yvonne, Nicola, Leslie, Abby, Ermgard, Miriam, Nicole, Faith, Brian, Ethan, Danny, and Tara. If you'd like to become a Legion of Super Sponsor, you can go to patreon.com/Supergirl Radio, and we appreciate everyone's support. All right. Well, you can find me on a couple places on the internets. You can find me on Instagram at The Derby Kid, and I have a YouTube channel that you can find at youtube.com/DuckMilkProd. I promise I am coming back to the live streams. I've had a lot of things going on in my life on Sunday nights, and I have not been able to do it. Things keep coming up, but I promise this is the week. This Sunday, I'm gonna be back live on youtube.com/duckmilkprod to talk about a review from the critics of Rotten Tomatoes about Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Still trying to sharpen my skills about art criticism and figuring out how I can best be a critic, which I think will come in handy because I've decided that I'm going to be a contributor to a friend of mine's magazine. So he asked me to do some reviews. He didn't specify films, but I chose films. So I think every now and then I'm going to submit a film review for his online magazine. So that'll make me put my money where my mouth is. So all these Rotten Tomatoes, top critics of Rotten Tomatoes reviews are just my way of sharpening my skills so that I can be a better film critic. Hopefully I will not make the same mistakes those people do. So I'm trying to learn from theirs. Also, I am on Vero, the social media platform Vero at Derby Kid, where you can find what I'm listening to, what I'm watching. I've been watching a lot of Disney lately. The Santa Clauses came out with Elizabeth Mitchell and Tim Allen. Love it. The elves, surprisingly, standouts of the show. I don't know why I should be surprised. The elves have always been
they're always working behind the scenes so
they're
hard.
always great in those films. Then Disenchanted came out. Really excited about that. And then also that new Mickey Mouse documentary is pretty good.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Lots of good Disney Plus stuff. I shouldn't leave out HBO Max. HBO Max is still the greatest of the streaming platforms.
Of course, the max. We always got to take it to the max.
But if you want to find out what I'm listening to or watching, you can check me out on Vero at Derby Kid. And I think that my 2-part episode, my second parter of Bill Meeks's new podcast, Where I'm From, has dropped. So if you wanted to hear me talk about Birmingham, Alabama, that is a good way to do it. So definitely check out Bill's Where I'm From podcast.
Ooh, that sounds cool. I'm gonna have to listen to that so I know all the places to go and the things to see in Alabama.
You gotta get the food recommendations.
Oh, that's the thing I care about the most, honestly. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. You can also find me as a co-host on DCTV After Dark and also the Legends of Tomorrow podcast, where I don't know what we got coming up for December. I'm gonna shoot straight with you. We're gonna do something. Don't know what it is. So it's gonna be a surprise to me, a surprise to you guys. It's gonna be fun though. So you definitely want to catch up for that. And I think that's all I have to plug.
Well, I was a little disappointed in the Legendary Ladies episode on the Taylor Swift conspiracies because I didn't get an answer about Taylor Swift and the snakes.
Yeah, I thought the cat was going to have an answer on that one.
The only answer, I guess, is that she's in the Illuminati.
That seems likely. No, I did look up the snakes thing, and apparently it was like part of her whole like this is my villain origin story. Like I'm in my villain phase now. So she was kind of going for like evil. So like
she really hit that.
She had like fire and snakes and like I think that's why she went so hard on all the stuff. She like wanted to look like, I guess, like a Disney villain.
She really accomplished it.
I saw the pictures from the staging and it was like, it was pretty impressive. There was snakes everywhere. I expected her to come out and start singing like Poor Unfortunate Souls. Her outfit too is like black and like really kind of menacing looking. That was, I think, her Reputation tour. So she was just like, the old Taylor is dead. This is me, villain Taylor. So I think that was kind of that was the theme that she was going. And now she's like, oh yeah, it's me. I'm back. I'm just like, I'm up at midnight and I'm writing a song. But like back then she was like, get out the snakes.
That's probably the explanation, but I still think she's in the Illuminati. Okay, all right. So that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And thanks for joining us for Supergirl Radio Rewind.
McGurk! I love typing.
Not mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira. I love that. So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No. Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!